January 30th, 2015, and I was just talking about the Gorsky Museum and then being in the hospital afterwards and being interrogated. One of the things that I was being interrogated or questioned about and punished over was that when I was leaving the Gorsky Museum and I saw these people, these different various international government people, standing around staring at me and kind of smirking, I said something in a very determined, calm, and kind of a cold way. And I said something like, thanks for giving me something to write about. Or, I'm sure that I'll add this to the book that I write. I specifically said that I was going to write a book, and I was going to use their names. I made a quick, clipped comment about it, but I basically let all those people, all those adults know who had just tortured me and raped me and forced me to become completely drunk. I basically told them that I was planning to write a book, and I was going to write a book, and then I was maybe going to sue them. So they didn't like that, and that was something that I was getting tortured over and interrogated about over in the hospital when I was in the hospital in Vladivostok. They said, they kept asking me, they said, do you know a publisher? They were interrogating me about who did I know, what reporters did I know, what publishers did I know, which publishing houses had I contacted, did I have any media contacts, did I have any author contacts, people who had written books themselves. And I was going to put this on because it just looks better, but it is really hot in here because I have the heater going, and I have to keep doing this. I have to keep the room warm because, well, for obvious reasons that I explained earlier, and I can't just, it's not really the easiest thing in the world to anyway, to be pumping breast milk all the time. So anyway, I mean, it's probably like 85 degrees in my room right now with the heater going, but it's easier than some other alternatives, I guess. So basically, you know, to have all of these questions directed towards me about, you know, serious interrogation questions, and I realized they're pretty paranoid. They do know that they could get into big trouble. They do know that they could be exposed, potentially. They were the most powerful people, some of the most powerful people you could meet, and yet they were afraid of me. They were afraid of what contacts I might have, and they wanted to make sure that I was just talking, that I was just saying I was going to write a book, and that oh no, an actual publishing house or publishers group had not contacted me. They wanted to make sure I didn't have any kind of an agent, like a book agent, and they asked me questions direct about about other countries. Had I been contacted by anyone in other countries? I mean, everything. It was ongoing for hours and hours. And then, aside from interrogating me about any potential question they could have to figure out if I had any support system, which is really what it was broken down to. They wanted to be sure that I had no support system, which is pretty much how my life has been. They surround me with their own government officials, pretended at various times with themselves and their kids to be quote-unquote friends, when they were never my friends. And they wanted to make sure that I never had any real friends, that I didn't get outside of their circle. And they controlled any access to me. You know, they wanted to be in control. They'd watch people. They'd watch me. A few times they got nervous that someone might be taking an interest in me or my case, potential case, and they'd start doing their interrogation business. So that those were some of the questions that they were asking of me. At the time, they were grilling me about media contacts and book contacts, and then they were also grilling me about, so what kind of a book are you going to write, and why do you want to write a book, and what do you think what do you think you're going to write about Katie Middleton in this book? Just noticing how these are sticking out on the sides. My straps. So they wanted to know what my motives were, what kinds of things I was going to write about, why did I think that they could be in trouble, what did I think I could sue over, all kinds of things. And so, seeing Amelot. So that's the kind of thing that was happening. And then, honestly, from being in that hospital, I don't remember really what happened next. I was transported. I remember, I think I walked out on my own and felt really sick. But, I mean, at some point I walked out, but I don't even remember, I don't remember what it was like when I walked out. So, I don't remember necessarily how many halls we went down and how many rooms we went past and that kind of thing. I just remember sort of vaguely being let out, but I had just been drugged and brain fried, and I was extremely weak and not really thinking very clearly after all of that. So how long did they have me there? They actually had me there quite a long time. One time I thought, well, maybe it was just they just had me there for a few hours one day. But I actually think I was there longer because I don't remember being completely conscious the whole time. They did some things to me that made me feel like they put me under in some way. And then they'd come back and they'd torture me, and then they'd leave, and they'd come back and torture me again. But there was this one block of time that was an intense interrogation time frame. And then after that happened, they got out of there. Some of the international people had schedules and different things, and they were getting spooked about sticking around while all of this was going on. And I think they had some kind of cover that to make it look like they weren't over there in Russia, that they were still in their own country or whatever they were doing. So a lot of them had time limits and had to leave and go back to their own countries. But that's the kind of thing that they did to me. They were extremely paranoid about my writing a book. I have been very interested in writing a book for a long time. And since I've been in the United States, I've contacted some publishing houses, even in the last couple of years. And I wasn't able to find anybody. I mean, no one in the U.S. was, of the publishers, was interested in speaking with me further about my writing a book. And then I tried contacting some other countries, thinking, well, maybe someone in another country would publish a book that I write. Because, honestly, I think that I could write a book that would sell really well. And it would be could definitely help some country's economy if they published my book. It would be at least something that I could have for my own savings and for everything that I've been through. But a lot of these publishing houses in other countries I found had a lot of connections to the U.S. And maybe for their own reasons, they just didn't respond, or they declined And it was just one rejection after the other. No, we're not interested. No, we're not interested. No, we're not interested. And the only place that said they were interested was Iran. And I wasn't quite sure why Iran was interested, because they told me, and I would be happy to work with a publishing place in Iran. I don't have a problem with that. But they were telling me that I had to be over there, I had to live there, and in order for me to write a book or work out that kind of a business deal. And it made me feel a little bit like, well, I don't want to go over to Iran and have somebody from the CIA or whoever try to use me over in Iran and hold me as a hostage. And then I never end up even writing my book, because I figure, even if I'm living in the U.S., if I'm living in the U.S., why shouldn't I be able to get another country to publish my book? I mean, there are plenty of people that live in one country, and then they have another country publish their book, and they just submit everything online or through the mail or computer or whatever. So that's what I was trying to do. And if anyone was ever interested in learning that, or taking me up on that, and encouraging me to write a book that they would actually publish, if anyone has that kind of a deal, or could foresee that it could be a good money maker and a very good documentary, I would really welcome being contacted by that group, because there are not too many things that have been economically viable for me to do in the United States. I've been blocked from a lot of work and slandered and falsely arrested when I'm actually getting jobs. This is not, while they've stolen from me and made so much money off of me, they have not allowed me to have a life. You know, the U.S. thinks that their idea of offers is, why don't you hook up with one of our United States officials or government men? That's, you know, they have tried to degrade me from being a professional to being some kind of a United States comfort woman that they think they can share around with a bunch of people, and it's really doesn't even come down to being a quote unquote comfort woman. It comes down to, how can we degrade this woman that we hate the most? How can we make her life seem so insignificant? And feel like, you know, we're getting something out of her still. So that is sort of what the United States has been doing. And if there's a publishing company in the United States that would be willing to take the risk and it would be interested in publishing, I'd be happy to do it. But I so far haven't met that company yet, and could be easier for some publishing group in another country. You know, if they don't want to get sued or threatened, or if they feel that they want to stand up against the United States, that it might be easier, possibly, you know, just depending, might be possible for another country to do that. Although I think if you have a very powerful or independent thinking kind of publishing company in the U.S., I think that it's possible they could even figure out a way to publish a book for me and make a lot of money off of it, and still somehow protect themselves legally. And I'm sure that there are many lawyers who could think of ways around just about everything. So that's a little more about Russia and what happened over there and some of the individuals that are involved. And again, you know, how come the Middletons and the Pentagon were involved there against me? And then how come I'm in Jerash, you know, in the Middle East, and the Pentagon's showing up with their helicopters after Middletons are there? I mean, the Pentagon and the Middletons are very interconnected. And I'm not quite sure why.